I hate to say this, but we kind of ruined fun for ourselves. Hey guys, what's up? It's Imurgency and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is sort of a continuation of the Gen Z cringe, millennial cringe / socialization videos that I've made in the past, but more so about the whole surveillance culture that we kind of live in as young people, where we really normalize filming and posting random strangers out in public on the internet, and how exactly the normalization of this behavior has ruined fun and also just like authentic expression, both in real life and online. This could be more of a chit-chatty culture discussion video rather than like a cold hard facts, research-driven video, because this conversation is more so about the vibes. Because I think the vibes have been off for us as young people for a while, especially with how we act in public, and it's honestly time we talk about it. Now, I do want to make it clear this is not going to be like a whole like get rid of your phone, phones are terrible sort of video, because I think that point is just played out and also not really reflective of the times we are in necessarily right now. But we do have to acknowledge the fact that us having access to taking pictures and videos and posting them wherever on your phone does not equate to it being right for you to do those things, because oftentimes that is an invasion of privacy, although it may not be legally in the state that you live in. And we're going to talk about that because modern day surveillance culture is actually really wild when you think about it. And when I say surveillance culture, I don't mean like this super spy, investigative, or rigmarole activity that's going on. No, I basically mean how we as a culture have normalized recording and photographing people and then posting it publicly without that person that you're recording's knowledge or consent. We're of a generation and in a world where we're all carrying around a camera and a potential captive audience at all times that reach way beyond the bounds of just you and your close circle of friends. Laughing about someone who's like the monthly main character that y'all either ironically obsess over or in some cases make fun of, because I know y'all do that. Oh, did you just ask who was you? You know exactly who I'm talking about. Don't try it. Please, don't play. And in this video, we're going to look to figure out where do the lines blur about what we should and should not post about each other and or random strangers? And when do we start serving as these modern day surveillance of each other? Because as many things are in this channel, it does get pretty deep. But before we dig into any of that, if you are new to the channel, hello, my name is Rumi. If you enjoy content like this, then definitely be sure to subscribe. And if you are enjoying this video so far, then leave a like, because that helps out a ton with the algorithm. You can always follow me on my socials at Imurgency on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, and listen to audio versions of this over on Spotify. But that's enough self-promo for now. Let's actually talk about like how do we get here? Now I'm going to need you to like stay with me here, because we're gonna take this conversation over surveillance, the end of fun and free expression, from like the macro of like celebrity and influencer culture down to the micro of how this has translated and now affects the everyday lives of all of us.
Hey, and speaking of the things that affect the lives of everyday people, one of those things is actually online impressions. Well, more so the pressure of making a first online impression through things like emails. Because personally, I'm always struggling to figure out how to format my emails to potential collaborators and brands. But luckily, that's been made so much easier with this video's sponsor, Grammarly. Grammarly is an AI writing partner that works seamlessly with your other apps and helps professionals write better and faster so they can get their work done. Grammarly AI features help you cut down on the back and forth of like whether you sound professional enough, if you're rambling and need to get to the point sooner, or if your tone just is not hitting the way that it necessarily should, all through rewrites and tone adjustments in just a few clicks. You also just don't have to worry about missing your target audience, because you're not gonna have to worry about accidentally emailing your boss the same way that you would email your coworker, or like vice versa, as Grammarly AI provides personalized writing suggestions based on your audience goals and context, because you know we love to exist in the context. My favorite thing about Grammarly AI is how seamless it is, because you really can use it in most of the apps that you're already using, and you don't have to do the copy and paste thing because it's right there for you. Now, if you're interested with getting started with Grammarly AI, you can sign up and download for free using my link, grammarly.com/emergency, down in the description below. Thank you so much, Grammarly, for sponsoring this section of the video. Let's get back into it.
So with that in mind, if we want to talk about the normalization of surveillance, and specifically surveilling strangers in public, we can look no further in the Gen Z millennial pop culture zeitgeist than back in 2014. Now, what happened in 2014, you may be asking? Which, unless you're Gen Alpha, which if you are, hey girl, how you doing? You may be thinking of things like Vine, the release of Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1, 2021, the rampant and oftentimes problematic YouTube parodies, so on and so forth. A lot of things happened in 2014, but why that year specifically is important for the sake of this conversation is because this was the year of Alex from Target. Oh, did I wake up some memories? I'm sorry. If the words Alex from Target elicit a reaction from you, either of nostalgia, shame, embarrassment, or confusion, then I'm sorry. And for those of you that don't know who Alex from Target was, or is, he's still alive. He's no longer at Target though. Alex from Target was the original white boy of the month. At the time, Alex Lee was a 16-year-old student working part-time at Target when a girl from a local high school snapped a quick picture of him without his knowledge while he was bagging her groceries and posted his photo to Twitter simply with the caption, "Yo." And that, my friends, is truly all it took. That's all it took, because from that moment, the tweet and the hashtag Alex from Target went absolutely 2014 viral. And you know what that means. Alex went from 15 Twitter followers to over 650,000 in 1 week to over 2 million followers on Instagram and got express shipped to the Ellen Show, because y'all know back in the day, whenever someone would do anything remotely viral or get a shred of internet clout, they would be FedEx overnight shipped. Actually, not even overnight. Amazon same day delivery shipped to the Ellen Show to talk about what it was like going viral and where do you see yourself going from here. Like, it was honestly a wild time. Like, that era of the internet was nuts because you could do both the most and the least and end up in that chair with that lady. And the thing is, if you're not familiar with this situation, Alex from Target really only went viral because at the time, people thought he was really attractive. And this wasn't the first time that someone went super viral just for the sake of their looks, but this was such an extreme case and honestly one of the first main pop culture moments for like our generation of someone blowing up under such a candid and unplanned and unconsenting circumstance. That single picture changed Alex from Target's life and cemented him always as being Alex from Target. Within a few weeks and months of him getting this fame, he'd have his phone number leaked. He'd have kids from local high schools go to his high school just for a chance to meet him. His teachers asking him for photographs and autographs. He signed to managers. He was having brand deals and really tried to do the whole influencer thing. And there was a lot of pressure on his end to continue pumping out content and to seize this moment, these 5 minutes of fame, to try and make as much of it as he could. In a quote, he shares that people around me were saying that I'm missing a big opportunity if I were to quit, and others were sending me death threats, jealous that it happened to me and not them. I gave too much power to the management team and those around me, and I just went on autopilot mode and went with it. Ultimately, Alex decided that influencer life wasn't for him, and he ended up walking away from it all, and now allegedly works at UPS, and he says that that's a lot more fulfilling for him, and he's just not as much on socials now, which honestly, good for him. He states that I never wanted to be Alex from Target, absolutely not. And though he has no regrets from the moment, he ended up having to grow up very quickly, learning a lot about people and people who don't always have his best intention at mind. And this example was so interesting because he didn't go viral for someone secretly recording him like singing his ass off or like showing any necessary talent. It was just him clocking in to a regular day of work and someone taking a picture of him literally bagging their groceries. And it launched his life into a stratosphere that he honestly did not ask for. And like, while this is a really niche example and one that people may deem as like a net positive, like, yeah, you got some clout, you got some money, why are you complaining? This is what's considered to be a lucky case because this is a case where the reaction to him was very positive and he was able to get opportunities from that. But that's not always the case for people that are randomly recorded and posted on the internet, because imagine how that would affect him if the reaction was the opposite.
I'm dropping it. Hey.
Like, imagine he had a Dreamgate situation and people were like being nasty to him in comments. Now let's take a step back and talk about the evolution of surveillance. From the benefits of being surveilled and watched to the ultimate harms. There's no way to start this conversation without talking about paparazzi culture. It's undeniable that paparazzi shaped the brunt of celebrity culture in the 90s and early 2000s. We imagine the very loud, very bald, very aggressive grown men who'd be greedy for money, trying to just get a single snapshot of a celeb off duty, just living their life. And to a certain extent, this was like actually harassment. Like thinking back to the cutthroat era of Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan, Paris Hilton, like this era was borderline unsafe. And it was also known as the Gold Rush era era for paparazzi, where celebrity photos could earn you a good piece of pocket change just from royalties, with celebrity just like us photos bringing a photographer anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 per photo of a celebrity just like doing normal things in public, like pumping gas. This was an era where the expectation was like, if you're a celebrity, you're kind of setting up for your private life to become your public life. I don't agree with that fully 100%. I think everyone is entitled to some form of privacy. But paparazzi culture has really shifted since then. Like, social media has allowed for celebs to really take back some of the power over the photos that are taken of them. In my mind, races to Beyonce of like, anytime a paparazzi will like catch her in an outfit, she will post the outfit that she was in so that the paparazzi can't make money off of that because she's already posted it. But then something interesting happens in the 2010s when the rise of the social media influencer really starts to take hold in the pop culture zeitgeist. You have a new category of famous people that aren't quite celebrities, but also aren't regular people. Internet famous people from YouTube or Tumblr or Vine really start blurring lines between like a celebrity and the general public. And soon enough, you'd see the birth of things like the Hollywood Fix. And for those of you that had a life and weren't chronically online, the Hollywood Fix would basically follow around different YouTubers, TikTokers, whatever what have you, influencers around LA, and would report very paparazzi style on their platforms. Allegedly, a lot of those paparazzi encounters were set up, I don't know, meaning they would call the paparazzi or the Hollywood Fix on themselves. And the Hollywood Fix brought us many moments, including, prepare yourself, this gem.
Dawson is making the run for his life. The run for his life. Shane Dawson soon run for his life, running for his life.
Nowadays, it's pretty common knowledge that paparazzi is now basically just a tool for promotion from influencers and celebrities, with most of them calling the paparazzi on themselves to try and make a moment. Like, I think of that one paparazzi shot where like Addison Rae is like reading some book in public while she's walking. Like, girl, that was set up, boots. According to Aaron Parfit, a Manchester-based paparazzo, I think a lot of people are quite dumb to how it works. People think we are scumbags hanging out of trees, but these celebrities are ringing us. He estimates that 80% of his shots are set up in advance. I've been on holiday with celebrities, and most of them are reality stars. We go to Spain, shoot 6 bikini sets, and stick them out throughout the month. Like, there are so many planned paparazzi shoots, with one iconic one being when Selena Gomez was spotted reading to kids at a park, not even more than like a day after her and Justin got caught looking for substances in Skid Row. Like, it's truly a wild world out there. But I say all this to say that there has really been a shift in this aspect of celebrity culture that has been passed down to the rest of us as the lines have continued to blur between what is celebrity and what is an average person with the advent of algorithmic social media. Like, we live in an era of like decentralized fame where anyone can become famous at any time based on what you post online. And to a certain extent, there has been a widening definition of what is a celebrity and what is an influencer, to the point where, like I said, dang near anyone can attain it. And while this is great for like economic opportunities like social mobility for a lot of people, this really does create problems when it comes to things like expectations of privacy when it comes to who is subjected to the public eye or not. Because everyone is technically a content creator through one way or another. Does that mean that they're also subject to having their privacy be violated in a public sense because they are consenting to the lifestyle that potentially having fame and potentially having a platform allegedly binds you to in the social contract of fame or notoriety or whatever? And my answer to that is like, no. Like, I think with how culture has shifted recently in regards to social media and having access to cameras, phones, and like I said, a captive audience at all times, it feels like the current unwritten social contract allows for people to sort of imply your consent to being recorded in general and posted online by just being a person out in public, or even in some cases in private, which should not and is not the case, but is what we've been seeing. Now, really quick, and I think that this topic is so interesting because there is like no like definite like right or wrong answer, because again, everything has nuance and requires context. Like, in some cases, yes, it is perfectly justifiable and honestly probably the right thing to record, post, and expose people with and as evidence to warn people against really unsafe people and behaviors that could be dangerous or harmful. Like, spreading that awareness, I think, great thing. And in being able to capture something in the moment and share it with people does also feel really good. Like, having one of those like just general life moments, like a 1 in a million moment, like I can't believe this is happening right now moment, is great to record and great to share with people. But I think there definitely is a fine line where like, is this something where you are spreading awareness or like enjoying life, or is this just like bullying and voyeurism? And while this may potentially be a more extreme case, I think that the rise in people just recording in public has created a sort of fear in a lot of people of being recorded in public.
I have a really big fear of being recorded in public without my permission, and it seriously contributes to just how bad my anxiety is, especially regarding leaving the house. And every single time a video goes viral that involves recording someone without their permission, that feeling just gets so much worse.
The way we have completely normalized filming strangers is insane. Like, what happened to privacy? Like, you can't just record people, y'all. Like, that's actually, like, not okay. And they were having a personal moment.
And yes, I know it is legal in most states to record people in public without their consent. But I think we're getting to a point where we're just getting too comfortable with that and we're taking it too far. Because there's a difference from like recording people and just sharing it with like your friends to like recording people and like posting it online for millions and millions of people to give judgment, thoughts, opinions, and discourse about. We've seen so much internet discourse take place online, whether that be on Twitter or on TikTok, about a situation between people who did not know that they're being recorded and or did not know that they were being recorded and posted online. And then you have people dissecting behaviors for like weeks online, being like, oh, is that person weird? Or like, oh, this is why I don't show up this way in public, or oh, this is why I don't wear this in the club. Like, what are we doing? What are we talking about right now? Like, we are actually the cops to ourselves. Like, it feels like it really can't be caught lacking in public these days. Like, of course, there's always like the appreciating someone's outfit, like recording someone's outfit on the train or like walking around the street being like, oh wow, they ate that. Like, can we gas them up? Like, that's lovely. Amazing. But do we really need to romanticize strangers? Like, be in people's business? Like, I think I saw a clip where someone was recording a couple having a very like heated, passionate argument. Or like maybe they were breaking up and they put some romantic bam cam edit ass music behind it, being like, me one day. Like, girl, what are you talking about? You are unwell. Why? Like, what would bring you to post something like that? Like, that is insane. Because I would be mad as hell if I just got done having a heated conversation with my partner, either breaking up with them or God forbid I'm the one getting broken up with, and I hop on my For You page and I see myself on the verge of tears from a third person point of view with You Belong With Me by Taylor Swift playing in the background and the words "need this" overlaid over my tears. Like, I would be sick, and you all are sick for doing that. Like, hello? Do we not see the issue here? And the fact that this is a real possibility for a lot of people, for really anybody in public, has really instilled the fear, or at least the hypervigilance of the potential of being recorded out in public. More so, specifically, recorded, posted, and then mocked and bullied into internet fame or whatever negative equivalent that is. Like, it feels like we live in a time where like you don't truly have full control over your privacy. And also getting posted online without your knowledge does open you up to a lot of criticism that you did not ask for. Like, have you read Instagram comments ever? Have you been down any Twitter thread? Ever. Perhaps open a TikTok comment section of someone being publicly recorded. Circle back with me, okay? Like, those platforms really do give next level hating. And it's so creative because, especially for TikTok, there are a lot of hate prevention filters. So the way in which people will find a way to read you and find a way to talk some to sometimes be the most poetic, around the bout, insult sandwich ass comment where like, you're like, what? At a certain point, you can't be mad because the creativity was actually quite clever. Like that was kind of clever. You ate that. You were wrong as hell, but you ate that one thing right there. On a serious note, at the end of the day, like, this really does normalize cyberbullying, and it shows. Like, people mocking your appearance or your actions or really anything about you based on a video that gets posted of you, and people are afraid to get bullied online, rightfully so. It's not fun because at best you have people making jokes about you or calling you ugly or whatever, and like that fades. But at worst, the bullying and mocking can get really bad, and you can end up in positions like where I've talked about in my previous video, specifically about slurs. It can sometimes look like death threats, entirely untrue and fabricated narratives being spun about you and your life, real life doxing, and you guessed it, slurs. Speaking of which, what happened to the anti-bullying campaigns? Like, Hillary Duff, where are you at?
You know, you really shouldn't say that.
And the ultimate effect, and how this gets to the general point of the video, I know y'all have been waiting for me to make a point, is the effects of us being hyper aware of us being surveilled by ourselves, is that we see a sort of depth in authenticity and fun. And where do we see this mostly show up at? You guessed it, or maybe you didn't. The club. club culture has been on the decline for a while, especially post the vid. There's been tons of expressed discontentment online about club culture, about it not really being anything but like overpriced drinks, people just standing around, looking at each other, section culture. And it really feels like every generation but Gen Z got like their really core party girl, club rat era when the clubs and being outside was at its peak. Now, for the reasons that we've stated, in addition to the fear of being caught lacking, it's just not the same. It's not fun. And I think we really underplay how much the fear of surveillance, the fear of being recorded, the fear of like online persecution really does play into why people act the way that they do at the club. Because for one, phones are always out. People are always recording. People are always trying to get that story being like, oh my God, I'm outside, I'm having so much fun. And let me try and get a clip of like, oh my God, the club is so crazy. Or like those, oh my God, this is why I don't go out videos, you know? You're not just recording your friends. You're not just recording the scenery. You're not just recording the ambiance anymore. And the videos that you're doing these things on aren't just living on your personal story or going to your friends' group chats. They are going to larger scale platforms, whether you're the one posting them or someone's reposting them on things like Twitter and TikTok, where now instead of like you and like your 10 closest friends or like 200 story viewers are all laughing at someone dancing or acting crazy in the club, it is thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people making fun of this person who simply was just trying to have a good time at the club and dance, which you're supposed to do at the club. And whether or not it's that serious or widely applicable, like that is something that is in people's minds. People are more aware now of how they're being perceived and how they could potentially be recorded, and also how they could be ridiculed online for how they're acting. So in a sense, we're kind of hyper correcting. We, again, like I said, we are being the cops for ourselves. We are monitoring our own behaviors, which then ultimately kind of gets rid of the fun, because there's nothing fun about standing around doing a little two-step and looking around the room. Like, have fun, cut loose. That's why you're at the club, to have some fun, to make some bad decisions. There's this video of millennials saying that like something she's noticed about Gen Z is that like when we're outside and when we're dancing in clubs, we don't usually put our hands above our heads. Like we don't put our hands in the air, like we just don't care no more, especially when we're dancing. Like it mostly sticks here, or like it'll go here, but it's never like a full white girl dancing hands up in the air like whimsy. Like bring back whimsy in the club.
So I saw this video a few months ago saying that Gen Z does not know how to dance properly. Like they won't put their arms above their head when they dance. And I went clubbing this weekend, and I can't believe this, I'm saying this, but that actually was what I was witnessing. They either had a drink in their hand, which is totally fine. It's kind of hard to balance all that above your head anyway. Or they were doing just like little step touches with their arms, kind of like in either like, I don't know what to describe it. I wasn't really paying attention because I was having a good time, just like living it up. So yeah, I'm just very confused. Does Gen Z know how to have fun?
And the thing about this is like, this sort of behavior, this sort of like nonchalance, openness to recording other people and posting online behavior is rewarded, like monetarily and socially. People don't just record people for no reason. Like, yeah, there are people that are just mean and will just do it to be vindictive, but there is an incentive for you to catch a wild moment. There is an incentive for you to catch something that's like out the blue, something that is like more authentic and more real. And that's because those are the type of videos that blow up on social media. They're the videos that get attention, and they're the videos that can then get you some money through the creator fund or the AdSense or whatever, what have you. And that, if it doesn't give you a monetary hit, definitely gives you a dopamine hit to see that your video is going viral and people are all laughing with you. And in this case, thankfully, not at you. But all that's for what? You're driving the stake into the heart of fun, whimsy, and cringe deeper and deeper for a video that 9 times out of 10 isn't long enough to be even monetized in the TikTok Creator Fund. Like, was it really that worth it? Like, was the damage done that worth it? And I do think that like we as like viewers also do play into that, because you know, we are the ones watching and engaging with it. Like these numbers where people engaging and talking about and partaking in discourse aren't coming out of nowhere. This play unfortunately is about us. So we are also, by contributing to the views, to the comments, to watching and sharing these videos, we're contributing to this behavior being normalized. And like, this is totally not the point and completely off point, actually probably counterintuitive to the point or whatever point I'm trying to make in this video. But like, imagine like if we normalized recording the people that are recording. Like imagine a whole series of someone recording, like back to, I forget which Sprouse it was, but like taking pictures of the person taking pictures of him, recording the person that's trying to aura farm, or like really trying to record a moment of someone like living authentically and like just being themselves. Like, let's start shaming the behavior of shaming the behavior. Like, not to promote self-policing even more, but like, hey.
Club culture is certainly not dead because people don't want to wear heels to the club anymore. And that's coming from somebody who loves to wear heels when I go out dancing. Club culture is dead because we don't socialize anymore. Everybody goes in the club and stand around and look at each other. And whether that's because of our increasing lack of social skills or because we're too sober and the drinks are too expensive, people are not really dancing anymore. Club culture is dead because the music is trash. You go to a white club, you're gonna be oots, oots, oots the entire night and the music never changes. The music choice for the EDM genre is often overwhelming and it's not good dancing music. It's good music to listen to if you're driving or running or something like that. And if you go to a predominantly black club, you're just singing the entire night because most of the songs are not party songs to dance anymore. Like, the only time I see people act litty titty is when they play like Sexy Red or maybe some Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, but nowadays the songs are just about hood rapping and gang bang and bang bang and all that nonsense. The music is not fun anymore. It's too serious. But in both case scenarios, it's always awkward because it's like a large amount of dudes just walking around seeking out women and the women are just kind of huddled up together in a corner seeking out men. And maybe for fear of being made fun of and posted online, nobody wants to dance because they don't know how to dance anything other than TikTok dances. Overall, club culture is dead because clubbing is not fun anymore. Oh, and I almost forgot, how do you want us to dance if you give us no space to dance? 50% of the club space is literally seating areas that you have to pay for. You're literally paying $139 for flavored nicotine, a small ass Ciroc bottle, and some trash ass cranberry juice. But the wings are great.
Now let's take a little step into talking about cringe culture, because we've talked about cringe before in previous videos. We've hinted at cringe a bit in this video already, but let's really talk about what the meat and potatoes of this all is. Because at the end of the day, what we're highlighting, what's being posted, a lot of times can be cringe. And the fear of being posted online is the fear of being cringe. And I think that we as Gen Z really are shackled in many ways due to our fear of cringe. Like, I am a victim of it too. I too fear being cringe, but I think like doing what I do, you kind of gotta lean into it a little bit more. And I think all of us can afford to lean into being cringe a little bit more and stop being the cops. Like, stop policing each other's harmless behavior. Like, I get like holding people accountable for actual like harmful stuff, but like being yourself, being a little cringe, being a little hyper authentic or just a little weird, there's nothing wrong with that. And like this aversion to it and like this need to like conform and be this like nonchalant entity, constantly moderating and monitoring your responses to things is not healthy and also does no one any good. Like, we've really made the concept of cringe into a pariah. And if you don't know what cringe culture is, it's mentioned in this Medium article as being essentially the subculture claiming the moral high ground over others, condemning what behaviors are worth mocking, and creating a divide of us and them on the internet, which is a shocker to absolutely no one. Like, it gives people an excuse to hate. It gives people an excuse to make fun of things that make them a little uncomfortable for being a little too raw, a little too real. Like, I'm never going to apologize for being too raw and being too real. Like, let's talk about it, okay? Cringe culture has brought us nowhere. Like, being afraid to be a little quirky, being afraid to be a little silly, being afraid to look stupid gets you actually nowhere. And actually, if we want to be real, if you want to talk like actual money, since that's what seems to move people, the people that tend to be the most successful, the people that tend to actually be innovators in the space, tend to actually do things, also happen to be the people that are the most cringe, and people that tend to embrace and not fear cringe, or learn to turn off or mute their cringe meter. Because I'm just gonna be real, you're not gonna get anywhere in life if you're constantly afraid of being cringe or being cringy to people. Like, hello? It's going to happen. Like, think of all the unhinged and very awkward celebrity moments you've seen. Think of all the ones that are circulating on the internet. That alone should speak enough volumes to like, yeah, everyone is kind of cringe, and that doesn't hurt anybody. And I do think things are starting to change. I think people are starting to acknowledge the fact that like nonchalance is not really serving anybody. It's not really helping anything. And there has been a strong push for chalance. Although when it comes specifically to heterosexual men, I have been seeing pushback, not specifically from them, but like about the whole like sassy man apocalypse. And I think in that case, I'm never in the business of particularly defending straight men. If you are a straight man watching, hey, I don't got beef with you, but you know, not necessarily who I'm jumping to defend right away. That being said though, we can't continue to hold the double standard of like, yeah, we want people to show up and be more cringe and be more authentic, and then like also moderate how far that can go, being like, oh no, sorry, you're too sassy, or you're too expressive, or you're too chalant, you're showing too much personality. Like, what is that saying? What is that saying? Quickly, we definitely need to extend more grace to everybody to be more themselves and be more authentically themselves, as long as they're not being harmful or hateful to anyone. Like, That should not be too much of an ask. But we keep talking about authenticity, authentic this, authentic that. What is authenticity? Like, let's talk about it, okay? Authenticity has been defined as the characteristic of being genuine and real. And the notion becomes a little bit more complex when we're talking about the modern day surveillance culture that we currently live under. The Hawthorne effect was a study conducted about how people alter their behavior, specifically in the workplace when they knew that they were being watched, ultimately resulting in increased output when watched. And this study doesn't only apply to the workplace, it can apply to pretty much any social situation, which is why we feel so different or so awkward or so like on guard when we're being recorded without us knowing or us being ready or consenting to be recorded. Which begs the question, if we're constantly feeling watched and surveilled, are we ever really being / can we ever truly be authentic? My lovely researcher for this video said that she wanted to give her 2 cents and says that speaking for herself, even when she is alone, she sometimes catches herself imagining what she looks like from another perspective. Reflexively, she straightens up her posture or lifts her chin to strengthen that jawline, and have had many friends relate to this experience. And honestly, speaking personally, yeah, there are many times where you kind of got to catch yourself and lock back in. Like sometimes you're just kind of slouching just there, and then you remember, oh, I'm existing in a context right now. Let me lock in. But like, when did we really start becoming our own surveillance? Like, we always talk about FBI agent this, FBI agent that. Girl, you are the FBI agent. And this hypervigilance is tiring. And as a little side point to this, like, this is more tangential, and I'm not sure if this necessarily relates 100%, but I think it's kind of related. And it might be a reach, but we've talked a lot about how we censor our behavior and censor the way that we show up in real life circumstances because we're afraid of being watched. I think that there also can be some overlap with like censoring our speech in everyday life, like specifically when it comes to algorithmic speak. And what I mean by this is like, there's been an uptick of people, myself included, y'all call me out for it all the time, of people using online verbiage or online words that are used to get around different barriers in the algorithm, whether that be demonetization or like shadow banning. Words like unalived, pew-pewed, grape. And I'll stop there because we are on platform right now, and you know how this platform loves to get down. Honestly, it is really jarring to hear people talk like that in real life, and many do. I've caught myself saying unalived in person a couple of times, and I say it all the time in these videos for the sake of avoiding consequence or censorship for my content. But the fact that it's slowly been translating into real life really makes you wonder, like, who are we censoring ourselves from in real life? Like, let's be real. And I think it's gonna be so interesting to see how Gen Alpha grows up, whether or not they will adopt the same sort of linguistical censorship, or it's gonna be like the complete opposite and the complete rejection of any sort of censored language or anything. It could go either way, to be honest, but I'm gonna need the linguists and the dialect academics to really sound off in the comments to let me know what you think, because I think that could be really interesting. But all of this is to say how pervasive surveillance culture and cringe culture seeps into our everyday lives, affecting us and molding us in ways that we may intentionally or unintentionally know. And this is to say that we need to put down the judgment that we have for people, especially for people that we don't know and don't really have business recording, and B, just be less afraid of showing up authentically and cringily. The level of comfort that we have with recording strangers online is interesting for sure. Definitely something that we should look at a little bit further and figure out, like, are we really cool with this or no? Because we really do have to be mindful about how we engage in things that are both online and offline, because as fun as they can be at their best, at their worst, they can be very harmful, both for the individual and, as we've seen, for the culture at large. Because at the end of the day, as we've seen, surveillance has been killing fun, and we need to stop it, especially in the times we're living in now. We need more fun than ever. But yeah, y'all, that's gonna be it for this video. Like I said before, this is more of a yap, just more of a chit-chatty conversation about something that I've been seeing going on just in the spaces of the internet and in real life that I've been in, and that I've heard my friends also talk about. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Like, have you experienced this? Do you know what I'm talking about, or am I just talking to talk? Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. Thanks again for watching. Again, if you're new to the channel, then definitely subscribe, leave a like, and follow me on my socials at Imurgency on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Other than that, y'all, I've been Imurgency, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.